Ambidi bam, bambidi bam, ba bam 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 bam. Shalom Aleichem, beautiful and wonderful friends. We are now back with our third podcast. That's what it's called, Nachon? Podcast. And it's a work-inspired podcast. What's work-inspired? It's a deep dive, and it's really to do with the reframing of how we look at work and parnasa, and the way Hashem intended us to work, the way the Torah expects us to relate to money and to work. And it's really profound because there's so much wisdom, there's so much Torah wisdom on this subject, and it's always exciting to share, because really I don't really know of other programs that are doing what we're doing. And it's a big schus. It's a very, 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 very big schus. A lot of programs speak about money and bitachon and hishtadlus, and that's wonderful. What we're doing here that's very, very different is we're actually excavating sugiyas and really understanding deep wisdom that's really helpful for us in the way that we're meant to manifest in the world of work, with money, our relationship with money. And there's a very deep pshat side and halachic side, but there's a very deep Kabbalistic side as well, to understand basic questions like, why in our day and age are we wealthier and richer than ever? Does that have something to do with the Messianic process, the Geula process? A lot to talk about. So you could definitely look into the other podcasts that we've done. And we run this very, very interesting program. And Chasdei Hashem, I'm very lucky that I have my chaver, Rav Tzvi, who we've been doing this now for 2 years. And I'm excited by it. I'm still excited by it. Are you still excited by it?
Still excited about it.
Still excited. So in our first podcast in this series, we spoke about, and we are speaking about, our upcoming season of work-inspired, Pilzno work-inspired Chabura. And we're speaking about work-life balance, stroke, work-life rhythm. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it. And to speak about this pain point that people experience, that there's this balancing act that people are trying to invest themselves in. And it's not so straightforward. We may have a Seder, and in our Seder, we're learning or we're davening. And, as Reb Tzvi said in one of the other videos, that I may be davening, but I'm visited by thoughts to do with work. How comes that doesn't happen when I'm working, that I'm visited by thoughts of Torah and Hashem? I don't know. But maybe through this it will. So that balancing act and the idea of a mind shift, that there's a rhythm that we want to be in touch with. And then in the second meeting that we had, the second video in this series, we spoke about the 4 different elements that we can increase in our life to create greater productivity. Hashem wants us to be these divine agents of light, and to bring more goodness into this world, to shine your light out in this world. You have your genius. All of us, we each have something so beautiful and unique to share with the world. We're here to be the hero of our story, not the victim. We're here to live with focus, monomaniacal focus. But how do we do that? So we spoke about our state of mind, to turn a frustration into a fascination, a nisayon into a nisiyah, that I'm present, I'm owning that which I'm doing in my different roles. We spoke about the change and transitioning. We spoke about strategizing. We spoke about having what we call a clean environment, the makom kavua, the place where I revisit time and time again, that's a place of focus. It's interesting to note, once by Rav Eliashiv, I can't remember who he quoted, but you have the halacha that tells us that the makom kavua will take up your tefillah. The makom kavua, the place that you dedicate for prayer, the space, the place itself takes up your prayer. And he said for work as well, if you create your workspace as a holy place, that makom is going to help you as well. Avram Avinu will help you in that workspace as well. So the world of our environment. Now, the question is, Reb Tzvi, I've invested time. I'm shifting from sur mira, these feelings of doubt, these feelings of guilt and shame, because I'm not a master. I am not a master over these different elements of work-life balance. And now I've invested sur mira and the asay tov. I've really spent time and I've dug deep and I've put in the work with simcha, with clarity, and I own now these different areas. And I have it. There's an integration, so to speak, or not an integration, but there's a balancing, there's a rhythm. I'm really good with this rhythm. Fantastic. So I've got everything in its right place. Is that it? Did I achieve? Did I now get the golden buzzer? Can the golden buzzer be now hit? I've done everything, the work-life balance, the strategizing, the transitioning, change and transitioning, my environment. Is that it? Have I now succeeded?
It's a great question. And I think that if you've been able to make that shift, from being in that space that so many people are in, from just not feeling good about how we're doing and being able to release that stress and you're being productive, that itself is a tremendous achievement. But there is a risk. There is definitely a risk of thinking that I've made it. And that's really the way that a Torah Jew, that's really the way that Hashem envisioned. Because really Hashem wants us to strive for something deeper. Hashem wants us to strive for something that we call, in our language, work-life integration. So let's just take an example to understand the difference between a Jew who's living with work-life integration and a Jew who's living without it. So let's think, for example, of Ruvain. Okay, Ruvain is a professional, successful, works in the field of finance. He listens to his daf yomi on the way to work. Right, when he gets home, he helps out with his family, spends time with his wife, with his kids, and he goes to the beis medrash. He has a chavrusa, right? He's a proud father. He invests in his children. He's active in his shul. He's on the board of his kids' school, and he's doing well. Now, with his work-life rhythm that we spoke about in a previous podcast, right? He's managed, right, to be able to shift his expectation that at all times I'm managing on top of everything, right? To 100%. So recognizing these are my responsibilities. I know how to be able to, in any given moment, be able to shift my schedule and to be able to focus my energies on where it's needed. But there's something which is missing. Because when Reuven thinks about himself and he thinks about all the areas of success that he's experiencing, he doesn't necessarily feel that because I'm a successful businessman, that's impacting my learning. Because I'm successful in my daf yomi, right? That when I'm out there and I'm thriving in my daf yomi, that's impacting my marriage. Because I'm being a good husband, because I'm being a good father, right? That's impacting me in the workplace. That idea still seems foreign. What does that have to do with one another?
What is he experiencing?
So what he's experiencing is what Rav Hutner writes, and in this powerful letter to one of his talmidim, the Rav Hutner says that there are people out there, they're good people, and they're doing good things. But the way that he explains it is that if you have a person who's renting an apartment in one city, and then he's renting an apartment in another city. Such a person, Rav Hutner says, is living a double life. It's a double life. He has his life, in Frankfurt, and he has his life, in New York. 2 apartments, 2 lives. That Rav Hutner screams and says it's a big mistake to think that that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu had in mind. Look, it's a lot better than a lot of people are doing. But to think that that's the way Hashem wants us to live, especially in our times, forget about 2 apartments, 7 apartments. Now, I'm in finance, I have my marriage, I have my kids, right? I have my volunteer work, I'm on Hatzalah, I have 7 apartments, 7 cities, I'm living 7 lives. That's exhausting. But it's not just about being exhausting. It's about something which is worse, which is about somebody who's living a fractured life. But what Rav Hutner speaks about is that Rav Hutner says is that the way we're meant to live, you can take those 7 rooms, but instead of them being 7 different apartments in 7 cities, it's a 7-room house. When you have a 7-room house, it's all under one house. Such a person is living with what we call work-life integration.
And I think this ties back to how we started. You've got Torah im derech eretz. So is it Torah and Derech Eretz, or is Torah the source, and anything that comes out in our life is emanating from the world of Torah, which then will share this point that everything's emanating from the one. It's emanating that you're drawing down Hashem's life force, the neshama, into you, and then everything is emanating from that. That means that you've got this 15, 20 bedroom apartment, 20 room apartment. And this is something incredibly important. In the world of Kabbalah, there's a sefer called Emek HaMelech. And it says something, it's really 400-year-old sefer, that we want to live a life that's called Razin de Razin. Razin de Razin is when all of the elements are integrated, that now instead of having 7, you have 1. So this is something really important, that my work-life rhythm becomes such a life where anything and everything that I'm doing, everything is impacting everything else. And it's upgrading. So in another program that we run, we're doing it with the Chaburas right now, there's something else. It's called Sefer Chaim. And there's a quote at the beginning of Sefer Chaim, which is a journaling. It's a journaling journey. And it goes through all the key areas of life, our health and our finance, our relationships, and it does a deep dive, and we journal on each of these elements. And the goal is not that each of these are separate rooms or separate apartments, and one is in Leipzig and one is in Germany and Poland and America and different places and different spaces. Really, what we want is to understand it's kula echad. Everything is one. Everything is one, and we want it to be in such a way where we have a saying that's really it's from the Ropshitzer Sosva Rebbe in London used to say this: a change anywhere is a change everywhere. You want to live such a life with such deep integration that it's all the same to you. It's all Avodas Hashem. It's all a revelation of God light into this world. And more than that, to gift any shift in your life in one particular area ricochets light through every other area of life. That you are just this beacon that's really present, and you're living with Ratzon, you turn up 1,000% in any given situation. I master the inside-out reality that I'm here, I'm present, I choose to be here, I care about this particular point, and I'm here in anything and everything that I do. It's all equally as important. And more than that, you've got the strategies in your life to help you. So, for example, whether it's cleaning yourself up before you come home, whether it's sitting on a bench for a few minutes and having a sandwich because you're exhausted before you come home, energizing yourself, you have the strategies in life to help you. And you've mastered change and transition, and you've mastered your environments. The point is, everything and anything you're doing is this deep, deep, deep interconnected oneness. A change anywhere is a change everywhere. Your tefillah will affect your shalom bayis. Your good experience at home as a parent is going to affect your work. Everything is affecting everything else, and it's upgrade. Everything is upgrading. You feel good, you feel excited, alive and in love with life.
And I think this is where Rav Hutner was trying to get across this message, because this well-intentioned Talmud was expressing the fact that there are different parts of our lives, and often we can experience this sort of type of tension. And I think that we need to be honest. I think hearing this idea that a change in one place is going to change to something else. I think for listeners, think for yourself. Okay, I could get, maybe if I'm becoming, better in my marriage, so that may help me with my kids. But if I'm better with my kids, is helping me in my business, helping in my understanding of Tosfos, right, is helping me with my kids. For many of you, that might seem quite odd and quite distant. But what we want to understand is two things, and this is really what we want you to walk away from this podcast, is that this is what the Torah guides us to do. When we understand that the Torah is a Torah of integration, right, and Be'ezus Hashem in the Chabur that we're going to be starting after Pesach, when we get to this topic, right, in our map of what we're going to be doing, there's a journey. And the first part of the journey is understanding work-life conflict and understanding where it's rooted. Right? We spoke a little bit in the podcast, but understanding what the Torah has to say about the topic, right? And then to be able to move from this shift, right, of that dark place, right, that frustrating place, right, that place of doubt and confusion, of work-life conflict that is plaguing so many of us, well-intentioned people, and then moving into the goal of exploring work-life balance, and then to work-life rhythm, and to be able to adapt the mind shift. But then understanding the tools that we spoke about productivity, so that therefore we're really able to thrive in each place. But really with the Chabura, the end goal, and this is Hashem's end goal for us, is to be able to live with work-life integration, so as to see the Mar Makomos and to understand how the Torah relates to this. The Torah relates to the fact that everything that we're doing, every moment that we spend throughout our day, even though it may look exterior, from an external perspective, is nothing to do with each other, is really meant to function as echad. Everything has its place. The experiential difference for you is whether do you feel that you're living a fragmented life? You could be doing well in all areas of your life. Do you feel it's fragmented? Or do you feel that everything is echad? Do you really able to experience that difference? You're able to walk out of your office and get an insight of how you're able to learn Tosfos better. Or you're able to walk out of the Beis Medrash and realize how you're going to be able to do better in your business. That's the way Hashem wants us to live. And it's an avoda of being able to peel away those externals, right? Because really the job title, right, and whatever the roles that we play are just levushim. Those are all externals. And the more that we're able to peel away from them and be able to understand within ourselves how we relate and how we're showing up in each one of these tasks, so that's going to be able to unlock your ability to be able to make that connection and to be able to see how you're able to live with more integration. So B'ezras Hashem, we're very excited. It's been amazing to be able to spend these last few conversations together just to open up a topic which is so much needs to be heard. So much needs to be heard, and please discuss these conversations with your friends, discuss these conversations with your loved ones, open up conversations, because this is something which so many people are struggling with. Right? But we invite you, right, if what you've heard over these podcasts speaks to you, there's somebody who realizes, I don't want to settle. I don't want to be experiencing this stress, this doubt, or even if I feel like I'm doing well in all aspects of my life, I want to be able to upgrade. Our Chabura is a place where you're going to have the opportunity to really go into this topic. And as Rav Gerzi said, the vision of the work-inspired Chabura was to create a community for B'nai Aliyah professionals, people that are not just interested in ticking boxes, people that are not just interested in saying, okay, learned the daf, okay, did my job, but people that are interested in making every aspect of their lives connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be able to experience more Dveykus, and to be able to experience more success, and to be able to understand how that is the same thing. That Hashem didn't envision people that were Mali Dveykus and falling apart. Hashem didn't envision people that were Mali Dveykus and not doing well in their business. Hashem envisioned a life where we're work inspired. Exactly that's what it is. And the Chabur is a platform in which we get together and you work to be able to learn content, to be able to learn Mar Makomos, to be able to connect. We have people that join live, we have people that join via Zoom, we have people that listen to recordings, but we're still connected to each other. There's an emphasis that if you're going to grow through this journey, and this journey that we're going to be going on after Pesach, we've spent the last 2 years on different topics: finance, money, bitachon, ishtadlus. As we're going to be diving into work-life balance, right? To be able to do this through the support, having a place to be able to hear and learn from other people's experiences, which we've heard has given people tremendous chizuk to see that you're not alone. At the same time, and such a focus of the Chabura is, how is this going to change your life? Don't walk out with a nice inspiring idea. Don't walk out with a nice word to say at the Shabbos table. How is this relevant for you? And the Chabura is designed that we learn a piece of content, look at Mar Makomos, but then to do avodas, practical exercises, being culled from the world of Chassidus, the world of Musar, so that therefore, how are you experiencing more work-life rhythm? How is this changing your schedule? How are you going to now be more productive in your time? How much do I really care about helping my kids? Maybe the reason why I'm not so productive in my job is because I don't really care about it. How am I able to restructure my day and my time and my office space so that therefore I can be more productive? How can I practice transitions? You're going to make that change. And you'll be able to do it together as part of the Chabur with the support as well. As Hashem, part of the Chabur is to be able to work one-on-one, to have bi-monthly strategy sessions with myself, with Rav Gerzi, so that therefore you're able to take this topic, and with Hashem's help, because without Hashem's help we're never going to get anywhere, to be able to own it, to be able to master it, to be able to make real change. And it's been a tremendous chus to be able over the last couple of years to do this with Bnei Aliyah. And as we open up the doors, right, every few months for new people to join the Chabura, we invite you to be able to learn more about the Chabura. Please make sure to check out our website, be in touch with us. As Hashem, looking forward to having a conversation and see how you too can be able to resolve that work conflict, to be able to thrive, but don't just settle for that. Work-life integration. That's what Hashem wants from us.
Baruch Hashem. May we experience bracha, mazel, and hatzlacha.